put in this way. I know you teach language arts here.
Yes.
Right. And I know sometimes that you do this. I know you get kids sometimes that have come in without the foundations that they needed, without all the background knowledge that they needed to be successful.
Yes.
How do you deal with that and get them to the level of standard that they need to reach?
Okay. Well, this year we implemented and developed and implemented a new reading assessment, especially for our ELL students. What we did was we adopted the Fountas and Pinnell benchmark reading assessments. After last year's test results, the EOC 1 and EOC 2 for English test results, and across the board, all tests really, we saw that our ELL populations had a significant gap in achievement levels. And so what we did was we implemented this new Fountas and Pinnell reading assessment benchmark. And what we found was when we tested them, we were able to identify their independent reading level, which was sort of low, and their instructional reading level, and also their frustration levels. And we used those levels to instruct them and prepare them for the test. And also we used those, the independent reading levels to monitor their growth based on the Fountas and Pinnell expectations. And we also used those benchmarks to make sure that our instruction was aligned with the TEKS and the objectives of English Language Arts for ELLs. And the results were outrageous. I mean, all of our ELLs passed the test they needed, the EOC test they needed to graduate. And we only have one more to graduate of that ELL group this year.
Now,
So
it sounds like the Fountas and Pinnell stuff that you've been using, this is what we pretty much do in elementary schools. Am I right about that?
yes, we adopted the Fountas and Pinnell Elementary because it only goes K through 8.
Right.
You know,
So
and
we're talking about the reading levels, like I read on an M or an N and things like this.
yes,
And you did this at an alternative high school.
at an alternative high school, and we found that our ELLs sometimes had 3rd and 4th grade reading levels, and they needed to pass the EOC 1 and EOC 2
So
for
when
English,
you
which
found-
was 8th grade level reading.
So when you
10th grade.
found out I'm reading on 3rd or 4th grade, what did you do about that?
We developed a reading workshop where we instituted guided reading practice, guided reading, and I did a whole lot. We do best practices. I mean, I did a reading workshop. I just did guided reading with them, and I mean, we really laid out we previewed the text. We looked at words that we were going to see before we read the text. We started talking about like language devices that we might come across before we read the text, and then as we read the text, I scaffolded with them, so we read it together to start off with. And as we read it, we looked at different things they would encounter on the ELA test. For instance, theme or topic or point of view or author's purpose. And then they eventually, I did a little gradual release with them and let them go, and then I let them read with themselves. And I stepped out of the equation, and they started reading together and encouraging each other, and this motivation thing happened. And if a reader stumbled a word, their peers didn't say, hey, that's not the right way to do it. They encouraged them, yeah, you can do it, and they kept on going, and they just kind of grew as a family, really. And then eventually, they all were able to do this thing independently at the high school level for these STAR standardized tests.
And passing EOCs.
And passing EOCs to graduate high school. I mean, it's giving me chills right now. It's unbelievable.